Welcome to Frankly, My Dear, the podcast that explores just how bananas things were in classic Hollywood. Classic Hollywood was wholesome, right? People talk about the films with such nostalgia and wish for those days back. But what I find more interesting is the seedy underbelly, the backstory, the movie trivia, the backdrop of those films and what went on behind the scenes. These were real people. They had their own stories. They soldiered on to create these films that you so love, and I appreciate even more now by knowing their lives and struggles. So join me as we uncover the mystery and peel back the velvet curtain of classic Hollywood to not just highlight the scandals, but the triumphs of these film giants. Thank you very much for joining me. I have a guest today. We've had him before. His name is John Michael Heath, and he is half of the EAP Society and also has his own channel called Atomic Wax. So we are going to dive into classic film. So this is kind of a different subject for you, but one that you seem to know a lot about anyway, right?
Oh yeah, classic movies is one of my passions. So I'm glad to have somewhere to talk about it.
See, I'm helpful. So today we are going to be talking about the de Havilland and Fontaine sisters. Joan Fontaine, I believe she took the last name from her stepfather.
Yes.
So they didn't have two of the same last name because it's kind of a ridiculous last name. So is mine, but it's fine. So we're going to be talking about two movies from each of them. And we're going to start with Captain Blood, which is really Errol Flynn's first real movie, not real, but where he got noticed, basically, right?
Right. I think it might even be his first speaking role.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. It was 1935. So the thing that I found super interesting about this is that they actually, so his confidence wasn't there yet. So they went back later on and refilmed earlier scenes because he got better.
Yeah, you can see him getting better as the movie goes along. But I had heard that they had refilmed a lot of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just say about Captain Blood. It's directed by Michael Curtiz, who famously did Casablanca. And he did Elvis's movie King Creole, which is one of the big connections we have with him on EAP Society. And he did Errol Flynn's breakout movies, not just Captain Blood, but also the next few that went along with that. And Captain Blood was a huge hit. Mm-hmm. And it sort of established Errol Flynn as an adventure film star. And importantly, it established Olivia de Havilland as his love interest. They did 8 films together.
Right. And I believe the director and Errol Flynn did 12, I think.
Yes.
Which I found funny because apparently they hated each other, right? So
they did not get along at all because Curtiz was very much kind of an autocrat on the set. He liked things done a certain way. He was originally from Hungary. He had, immigrated to America in the silent days because he was a very good director. But he was famous for liking strict control over everything. And especially, I can imagine for Errol, if this is like your first big role and you maybe need a little bit of grace, a little bit of understanding, he probably would not have gotten that from Michael Curtiz. Now later, after Curtiz, they actually had a falling out on a movie called Santa Fe Trail, which was banned for a long time. And it's like kind of an un-PC movie these days, but it was sort of an anti-America getting into World War II parable, and Flynn very much disagreed with that. And he didn't like Curtiz anyway. They had a falling out, and so then Flynn made a series of films with a guy named Raoul Walsh, who got along with Errol famously because Raoul was very much a rake and a man's man and a heavy drinker and a backslapping type. They made fabulous films together, but were sort of more suited, I guess, temperamentally with each other.
Sure. And didn't Errol Flynn, didn't he get married to like the director's ex or something too?
Oh.
Lily, I forget her
Lily
last name.
Demita. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his first wife. I don't know if she was the director's ex or if it was a producer.
No, it was the director.
It was so. It was the
They've
director.
been
I've not
divorced,
heard
I
that.
think, for a bit, but yeah, I was like, that's interesting.
Okay, yeah, that's Errol. Like he's always doing things that people would probably advise him not to do.
Right? Just mess with people. I don't know. Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit, but his life was just insane. He just like self-destroyed, self-destruction, and just the booze and the drugs and
Absolutely, and the
other
adventurism.
things.
Like the wild thing about Errol is, he's a very good looking guy, very charming guy, good actor, really. Like once he got his feet underneath him, he's a
Mm-hmm.
very good leading man. And also the ladies loved him. And
Mm-hmm.
he loved the ladies a little too much, especially on the younger side. He was a bad
Right.
boy, but he would also get these like wild hairs. Like once he went to go fight in the Spanish Civil War in
Mm.
1937, he was a huge star. Just decided to go over there and see if he could help
Hmm.
out the rebels against the sort of autocrats in Spain. And he did it again in 1959. He went to Cuba to help Castro.
Oh.
And so
Huh.
that all also kind of like made him a difficult person to deal with in Hollywood because these film companies, they don't like unpredictable stars. They don't like their stars getting into situations that they can't really control, and that's like
Yeah.
all Errol Flynn did.
That's funny. Well, and there was something about that him and Olivia like were super into each other, but they both say nothing happened. So,
See, that's one of the wild things because they did 8 films together. They have instant chemistry, a lot like Elvis and
mhm.
Anne Margaret, like we talked about in the last episode.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
There's actually a photo in an Errol Flynn biography I have of the two of them sitting together on a train in the press junket for a Western called Dodge City. Also directed by Curtiz, also a very good movie. And they're holding hands, like, just backstage. So
Oh.
there was something going on there, but I think Olivia didn't really want to get involved with Errol because he seemed not particularly stable.
Right. Yeah. But they did have great chemistry. I did find it interesting too. So I went into this expecting a pirate movie, expecting the Captain Blood to be a pseudonym because he
Right?
was a pirate. And then it starts and that's his real name and he's a doctor and I'm like that seems a little on the nose.
Yeah, it takes like an hour for him to become a
I
pirate.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. He doesn't even become a pirate till an hour in cuz he helps some rebel and then they sell him into slavery and then there's all this other stuff before he even goes to be a pirate. And I'm like that title is a little deceiving.
Yeah, it's not exactly what you'd think, but I think it's important that they like took all of that time to show that he had reasons for what he did. He wasn't
Mhm.
just out to steal because he could, like he was just trying to do his profession, serve somebody who was sick, and then he
Mhm.
gets thrown in jail by the corrupt king because
It kind
he
of
was
reminds me
helping
a
the
little bit
wrong
of
person.
like the Count of Monte Cristo a little bit, like the
Yeah,
false imprisonment kind of thing.
100%.
Um yeah. And then like there's a little bit of a love story there, but not like a huge one. It
Right.
comes back around, I guess, but because she buys him and then he has this whole thing with that and then he buys her and I'm just like what.
And like that's a
It's
weird
funny.
thing they used to do in Hollywood movies a lot. There's a lot of like buying a love interest into slavery. there's a really great movie called this is actually directed by Raoul Walsh, who was Errol's other big collaborator. It's
Mm,
called Band of Angels. And it's specifically supposed to be like an anti-Gone with the Wind, right?
okay.
And it stars Clark Gable, and he is a slave owner in New Orleans. And the heroine of this film is played by Yvonne DiCarlo, um, who's
Ah,
she was gorgeous when she made this movie.
yeah.
And she finds out after her father dies, her father was like a southern plantation owner, that she is actually 1/8 black. So she
Mm.
is technically a slave. And so there's a scene where Clark Gable buys her because he's
Oh,
interested in her.
jeez.
And I'm like, this is like a really problematic thing that Hollywood just used to dance all over thematically. So I don't know what they were onto about that, but they got into that buying of the lover thing.
That's weird. That reminds me of, because isn't Ava Gardner's character like supposed to be part black too? I don't remember. There's
possibly
something.
Yeah, they also loved that idea about being able to pass for another race, you know?
Right.
A lot of racially problematic stuff in classic Hollywood, famously. And, you know, but they didn't always bat 1,000 on gender politics either, to say the least.
Yeah, there are a few like blackface numbers and stuff that we don't need to talk about, but like Judy Garland did one, Bing Crosby did one, like...
I will say, I do love the way that they actually use this whole contrivance in Captain Blood, because she clearly likes Errol Flynn, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he just can't stand the fact that she bought him and that he's in this kind of subservient position, and she just loves every minute of it.
Yeah.
And so in terms of that, like it plays very cute in this film, problematics aside.
Right. They have like their banter and their chemistry, so we overlook it, but he's very prideful, and he, you know, I mean, he's a doctor. You can't really blame him for being like, what the heck?
Exactly. He doesn't want to work on her uncle's sugar mill or whatever kind of thing it was.
Right. My gosh. Her uncle was so mean.
I also do, I have to say, I kind of laugh at the way they depict the slavery, because it seems like in a lot of these old films, the shorthand for being a slave is like pushing a giant wheel. You don't know what it does, but everybody looks miserable and they're all pushing this wheel.
We're working really hard.
Exactly.
And then he gets to serve the king, so he doesn't really have to do much of anything. He's just off being a doctor, but still technically owned, so I guess.
And see, like, that's another conceit of Errol's character in a lot of his films, is he's very clever, and he figures out how to get sort of the better end of deals. But he's a little bit of a con man almost in his screen character, but you like him for it because he's very charming too.
Right. It's hard not to like him. As I said, like looking up all of his life stuff, I'm like, what the heck?
I know. It's crazy. It's so fascinating though. He's got like one of the most interesting lives that I know of.
Of his own making, really.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean like
detriment.
To his own detriment, very much so. Yeah.
Well, I said like he died he was only 50, and when they did the autopsy, his like innards seemed like a 75-year-old man, because he basically destroyed his entire body inside, and his liver was wrecked because he was an alcoholic, and
but I mean
the drugs too, but. Yeah, they said he would have died in like 6 months to a year anyway because of his liver.
There's no doubt. And like, you know, his later films, he's still very charming, but he looks like a wreck because he just tore himself up.
Yeah. And he's not the only one, really. Like, his is pretty extreme, but a lot of other people that are celebrities, that it's weird because like they get revered, and then you're like, wait, then they were just tortured inside anyway. Like,
true. Yeah.
It's a weird, like, double-sided sort of life, it seems.
It's really strange. It's really strange, but it's so fascinating to think of like Errol down in Cuba hanging out with Castro and Ernest Hemingway. It's just,
true. Didn't Hemingway drink a lot too? So maybe they were good buddies. I don't know.
They were good buddies, in fact. Yeah.
They got along and they're like, let's go drink some more. Yay. Oh my gosh. Well, and then in Captain Blood too, you have Basil Rathbone, which he's fun.
Yes. Yeah, Basil
he's
Rathbone.
Kind of like snooty in this though, but when he's French, and it's kind of weird.
That's the thing with Basil Rathbone. Like, if it wasn't for the Sherlock Holmes series, which he is fantastic in, people would probably most remember him as a bad guy, because he did have that kind of snooty, you know, sniveling, I think I'm better than you era. And they loved using that about him. He's such a good bad guy. This is not the only Errol Flynn movie that he's a bad guy in. I think he's in The Seahawk as well.
Okay. Well, and we're gonna get into Robin Hood
And
too,
Robin
so
Hood, obviously, yeah.
he's there. Yeah. What I found funny though, and I went back and watched this more than once. So their sword fight, it's very quick. Like the one in Robin Hood is much better and it's
Yes.
choreographed. But like when he falls, like his eyes are closed and then they open right before the scene changes. And I'm like, oh, they screwed that up. Like, wait, is he dead? Is he not dead? Like he opens his eyes and I think they just didn't cut it soon enough or he forgot to keep his eyes closed because I was confused for a second and thought maybe he was still alive.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had not noticed that.
Yeah, it was funny to me. I'm like, wait, so he dies better in Robin Hood, but in
Oh,
Robin Hood his
definitely.
eyes just stay open. Because then I was looking for it because I was like, wait, let's see what he does.
Exactly.
Maybe he just got better. I don't know. Well, and then this was based on a book too, and I did see something about that. We're going to talk about Cary Grant later too, but Cary Grant was considered for the role, which I found interesting.
Wow.
Like that was pretty early in his career at that time too.
And that, that is very interesting because Carrie and Errol are similar in some ways, and that they're both they have a British accents. They're handsome gentlemen. They are very charming, but like Carrie, I can't imagine him as a swashbuckler. Like Errol has
No.
that air of danger, of rebelliousness that I think sort of makes him perfect for this kind of role.
Yeah. And he's also, I don't know, like he's leaner, which I don't know if that would be a thing. But like Cary Grant has like a larger presence almost that I don't know. Like swashbuckling feels like light on their feet, and I don't know that he's really that.
Yeah,
Like he was
you've
an
got
acrobat, so he's like super strong and stuff and does
there's almost
tricks
like
in
a,
other
a
movies.
ballet quality
But
to it that you need for a good swashbuckling scene, Got to be able to maneuver. I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, like he just doesn't seem like the type for that, I guess. I don't know. And then apparently they were going to make a remake of Captain Blood. Did you know this? In
I did not know that.
1994, never came to be. It was going to be either Alec Baldwin or Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, those are terrible
Really 90s.
choices.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't know. It never came to be.
There's well, I'll save that for when we're talking about Robin Hood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can do that next. Is there anything else about Captain Blood? I liked it. I had never seen it before.
I think Captain Blood is a great example of Michael Curtiz's action cinema of the 1930s and 40s. He was a director who, I said he was from Hungary. He had sort of learned his craft in Germany at UFA. And, the Germans were big on expressionist lighting and using a lot of shadows. And Curtiz was all about that.
Oh, yeah, the shadows. That was cool.
Oh, yeah. And so
the part where he's treating the rebel or whatever and they have it projected onto the wall. Yeah, yes. I did want to talk about that. That's really
that
cool.
Is classic Michael Curtiz. And like that style, Curtiz's style kind of defined the Warner Brothers style of the 30s and 40s. So not only is this a big film because of Errol Flynn and because it started Errol and Olivia's screen relationship, which really benefited both of their careers tremendously. But also it's just it's a great example of Michael Curtiz at his best, pre-Casablanca, which is what everybody knows him for. But his action films, the swashbucklers, the gangster movies, like to me, that's like his best stuff. So,
does he still do a lot of shadow stuff in Casablanca? I haven't seen that for a long time.
He does, but it's more. By that point, I think his style was a little more polished. So it's not quite as exaggerated, I would say.
Okay. Gotcha. I did like that. Oh, and then something similar with Captain Blood and Robin Hood especially are like the title cards. I don't know if that's the right word, but where they are like, hey, this happened. They just tell you something and then they just move on with the movies. So they both had that in it, which I found interesting too. But that makes sense with it being the same director too.
And it kind of gives you a sense that like this is a book, like a novel that you're reading. So you get the opening exposition and then they can throw you into the action and hope that little paragraph or whatever gives you everything you need to know before you really start. Nowadays, they just trust you to kind of figure that stuff out as you go along. But back then, using the opening titles was a big thing.
I mean, Star Wars did it too.
And like
At the beginning, not throughout though. Like these both do it during.
Yeah, like during in scene transitions, like that was a huge thing back then. And Star Wars, like the reason they did that is because it's very influenced by movie serials of the 30s and 40s. So they're, using the dominant style of the time, and it carries forward into Star Wars.
Sure. That makes sense. So then we have Robin Hood, 1938. This one I had seen before, so this was a rewatch instead.
Yeah.
But like the color especially is impressive. And I really noticed this time his costume. Like he's got like sparkly stuff on his sleeves that reflects. And I'm like, oh, he's so fancy.
Oh, when they shot movies in Technicolor in the 30s, really all the way up to the 50s, they designed the costumes and the sets to show off as much color as possible.
Right.
Like they didn't just make an incidentally color film. You were going to be aware that it was color every second that you were watching it. And it's just a charming style. I love the look of this film. The costumes in this movie really kind of define the look of Robin Hood in popular imagination, because the Disney animated film specifically takes its cues for costume design from this movie.
Then maybe the fox is influenced by Errol Flynn then too.
100%.
Everybody loves the fox.
The fox is great, and he is a version of Errol Flynn. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the Princess Bride, when they did that's a version of Errol Flynn as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and Men in Tights too, really. There are echoes of that in there too, a lot. What threw me in my research is their first choice being James Cagney. I was like, it's weird, right? Apparently, because he had all these gangster roles and they were trying to get him to do something a little bit different because now they had the production code and they couldn't just off as many people. I don't know. So he was supposed to be in it, and then he decided to terminate his contract basically and left because he didn't want to be there anymore. He didn't think they were paying him enough and like gave him too many movies or something. So he left. Like that would have been weird. Because I think of him as like the gangstery thing too, although he was a dancer too, but I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, Cagney was a very versatile actor. Like I can't imagine him as Robin Hood just because of Errol, because I'm so familiar with Errol's version, but like, maybe like they tried to put Cagney in a Western around a few years earlier called The Oklahoma Kid. And that has Humphrey Bogart and James Cagney in the Wild West. And if you think that sounds awkward, it is. Like it's not a terribly good movie. But yeah, they were trying to put him in different roles, but like he was great at gangster stuff and he's great at musicals. Like Yankee Doodle Dandy and stuff like that. Cagney is tremendous at, but it's sort of like what we were talking about with Cary Grant. He's just much too solid of a presence to imagine as a swashbuckler.
Yeah, like not, I don't know, like a lithe sort of, I don't know, lighter, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. And this, like, one of the interesting things about this film is it was sort of a complex shoot because they had at least two different directors. They started with William Keighley, and I think they finished with Michael Curtiz. Or I might have that backwards. I can't remember, but I know there's two different directors.
There were two. Yeah, I can't
and so now. That kind of gives some of the scenes in the film a little bit of an uneven quality. Like I think if there's something to criticize with Robin Hood, I think it does have some pacing issues because of the two directors and they had slightly different visions, but it's still like, I mean, it was a huge success.
Yeah.
Every kid that grew up around 1938 loved Robin Hood from this movie. It's the definitive. Now I will say this. I think that Maid Marian in Robin Hood is a much lesser character for Olivia than was her role in Captain Blood. She could do a lot more than they let her do in Robin Hood. But
there was something about they wanted to cut the role altogether and not have Maid Marian in it. So that might have been insane. Part of it.
You can't have Robin Hood without Maid Marian.
Right. You have to have the little element of love story in there, even if it's not like the main thing, but
exactly. Now, one other thing I want to say about Robin Hood is the guy who plays Little John in this is an actor named Alan Hale Sr. His son, Alan Hale Jr., was the skipper on Gilligan's Island.
Oh.
He's the kind of portly guy with the mustache, you know. And Alan
Okay.
Hale Sr. was a great friend of Errol Flynn's and is sort of a sidekick or a supporting player in a lot of Errol's movies.
Oh, interesting. I was just looking at notes, right? So apparently Douglas Fairbanks Jr. turned it down because he didn't want to, because his dad had played it in like 1922 or whatever, and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, his dad was the original Robin Hood in the Alan Dwan silent film. Classic role. And I can totally understand not wanting to get compared to your father. Funny thing enough is that like Errol Flynn, once he took this role, was always compared to Douglas Fairbanks because he did a lot of the same kind of roles that Fairbanks did.
Sure. That makes sense. Well, then that makes sense that they considered both of them for that too.
Yeah.
And then David Niven was originally supposed to be Will Scarlet, but he was on vacation or something, so then he wasn't. I find him interesting. I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but like apparently his autobiography stuff is supposed to be really funny.
Niven was also a good buddy of Flynn's. And so
okay.
He's in several other Flynn movies like Charge of the Light Brigade, which also has Olivia de Havilland in it. And I think there are a couple more, but David Niven's a great actor. But I can totally see him as Will Scarlet.
Yep. Oh, and then I like that they had to spray paint the trees green.
Yeah,
because they filmed it in fall or whatever, so they had to do that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you figure out, like when you go out to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. If you've watched movies all your life, you'll see LA and the surrounding area and California, and you're like, oh, this looks like every movie I've ever seen because they literally shoot them within like 40-mile parameter of the studios. So yeah, they were just in parks in Los Angeles when they were shooting. The trees were brown, so the property department had to fix that. They had to make them green.
Right. Can't have this be in fall. It doesn't look right. It's not going to match his costume. Can't do that.
Exactly. It's not going to do the Technicolor justice, and they're spending money on that 3-strip Technicolor.
Right. There was something too that they had all of the Technicolor cameras. There were 11 of them. So they had all of them and had to return them at the end of every day. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not an easy process to shoot a Technicolor movie back then. Because in the early 30s, they had what they call 3-strip Technicolor, which means you actually had 3 separate registers of film running through the camera at once. So it had a ton of film in it. It was a very expensive process because then you had to have these all exposed separately and then printed one on top of the other for the final color register. When they eventually figured out how to get all of that color information on one strip of film, it like literally cut the production budget into a third.
Right. Well, and too, this was pre Wizard of Oz and stuff, and that was a big deal with the Technicolor too.
Immediately pre Wizard of Oz, yeah. Because I think this was 38 and that was 39, right?
Yeah. I did like Basil Rathbone in here too. I thought their sword fight was much better.
This sword fight
Captain Blood.
Yeah, totally agree. It's one for the ages because this is definitely Curtiz. I can tell because of his style, because you do get some really nice shadows in the sword fight. And there's so much choreography when they go up the stairs and then jump onto the tables. It is a joy to watch.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it reminds me too of like some of the other stuff like Princess Bride and
that's where they were getting the inspiration from.
Right. Okay, so anything else about Robin Hood? I really like that one.
Yeah.
My kids like that one too, so it's fun for everybody.
That's awesome. Yeah, Robin Hood, Captain Blood was the first big moment for Errol Flynn. Robin Hood was the thing that made him a superstar. And so after that, he sort of got typecast in these action adventure roles. And Flynn himself, he wanted to do comedy. He wanted to do drama. And Jack Warner, here's the thing. Jack Warner, the head of the studio, had a thing where he sort of saw, I think, who he wanted to be in Errol Flynn. So he kept Flynn in these action roles because he thought he was the best at it. And he's absolutely right. But Flynn always wanted to do other things, and Warner wouldn't let him. And so this sort of fueled a lot of Flynn's drinking, a lot of his acting out.
Sure.
Maybe if he had been a little bit more respected, given a few chances to stretch his wings as an actor a little bit, maybe things would have turned out differently. Maybe not, but it's an intriguing possibility.
There was something too, and I don't remember which movie it was, something about they banned him from drinking so he would inject oranges with vodka and bring those with him so he could keep drinking.
So sad.
Just that addicted, like so hopelessly addicted, like, yeah.
That sounds like Errol.
Right. But I mean, you see that problem with getting typecast with basically everybody too. Like they want to do other things and the studio and the public says no, and
like here's the back. Like Elvis famously dealt with this as well, being forced into one type of movie. But like from a modern perspective, what people need to understand is that back in the day, like you didn't have franchise films, like you wouldn't have Star Wars Episode 15 or whatever, or the latest in the long, long line of Marvel movies. The actors were the franchises. So if Errol Flynn was going to be in a movie, that was like a recommendation algorithm telling people who liked Errol Flynn's previous movies, you'll probably like this one too.
Right.
And so that's why they use typecasting a lot. And like usually the studio had a very good idea of what these actors did well.
Right. So sometimes they got frustrated because they wouldn't let them do other stuff. Because Elvis, like Tyrone Power, got irritated too because they let him do one movie and then he got pushed back into the other stuff. Judy Garland was irritated at one point too because she did For Me and My Gal, where she got to play an adult's role, and then they made her do Meet Me in St. Louis, and she was not pleased about that initially because she went back to playing a teenager when she wasn't one.
Right. But it's such a good movie.
Yes,
that's the thing. Like, see, the studio did kind of know. They did kind of know what these people could do. But it would be nice to, like, let them experiment a little more. Let them kind of poke around, see what else they can do. Maybe it doesn't work out, but if you give them the opportunity, like maybe once every fourth movie, maybe you keep them happier. And maybe you find out something else they can do.
Right. Well, because her only non-singing one was The Clock, and that was a good movie.
Yeah.
And two, like, the one I like to cite too is Frank Sinatra. His only non-singing one was The Man with the Golden Arm, and that movie is awesome.
Phenomenal movie. Yeah,
He's so great in that. Like, you get to see, like, their potential and what they can do. Like, I was talking about Marilyn Monroe recently, too. Don't Bother to Knock, where she's insane.
It's a superb film noir. And see, like, that is a power that the typecasting formula had that Hollywood underutilized, which is taking someone that you're used to seeing in this kind of role and putting them in the exact opposite type of role, because you're playing with the audience's expectations, right?
Right.
You don't expect Marilyn Monroe to be crazy, so it's very dramatically effective when you find out that she is,
Right. She's really good in Niagara too. I found very interesting too.
I love that.
Because like she has the look there, but then she's trying to murder her husband. Like, it's not, like the traditionally. And I mean, she's not really a dumb blonde, but that's the persona, right? So like in the musicals and stuff, they try to play up, or the gold digger, I guess, the gold digger thing with her look. So I found Niagara really interesting because she has the look, but then she's very clever and she's kind of evil. And in Don't Bother to Knock is just, I don't know. I think that's one of her best. And then they didn't let her do it anymore.
I love it. I like, honestly, there's maybe one Marilyn Monroe film that I don't. No, there are two Marilyn Monroe films that I don't absolutely love. And they are The Misfits and The Prince and the Showgirl. Everything else she did, I love.
I haven't seen The Prince and the Showgirl. The Misfits I watched once, and that's enough.
Yeah, it's very odd. Very odd. But
yeah. I don't know.
But that, using someone's expectations and kind of inverting it is it's a very powerful thing. As a matter of fact, one of Errol Flynn's last roles is in an Ernest Hemingway film, The Sun Also Rises. And he plays this guy.
Because they were drinking buddies. Yeah.
Yeah. And he plays a guy who's basically a version of himself. It's a guy who's like, I think maybe used to be a bullfighter, an adventurer, and he's kind of a wasted, drunk version of himself. And he's so good at it. And it's such a tragic role that, like,
because it's too close to what he really was, right?
And he's putting it on film in a very artistic way. Like, the movie itself is not as good as Errol's performance in it. But and Tyrone Power's in that as well. It's
interesting.
But it shows you like what he could do when he was given a little bit of a chance to, you know, have some range. And another great example of this, another one of probably my favorite all-time Errol Flynn movie is a movie called Gentleman Jim, where he plays the boxer Jim Corbett. So you've got a little bit of that. Yeah, you got a little bit of that adventurous side, but it's mostly a romantic comedy. Alexis Smith is in that one. That was his first post Olivia movie. So you do miss her, but yeah, no, it's still very, very good. And it gives him a chance to show off his comic chops. And he's so funny in that. So funny. He did just a phenomenal job.
Oh, funny. The other movie I thought of that like was too close to what was really happening in the actor's life is A Star Is Born. So the Julie Garland movie where they show like they change her name and they do the whole like makeup thing, and like Norman Main's downfall parallels like her experience, and that's real tough.
I know. You know, this is one of the things in the Elvis world they talk about. He was he was the first choice for that role, the Norman Main's role in the 1975 version. And he didn't get to do it. The official story is his manager said no. There's disagreement over whether Elvis really wanted to do it, because like in that role he is like a drug addict and a guy who's kind of past his prime. And Colonel Parker, I'm sure, saw that as something that was a little too close to home for Elvis at that point. And so I think I don't know. It could have either been great or it could have been a disaster for him if he'd done that, you know?
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
The other one that I watched recently for the first time, I segue all the time. Paris When It Sizzles. Because William Holden, like I found out, like I looked it up. So he was like a super alcoholic at that point, and then the character keeps drinking, and it just made me sad. Because I'm like, oh, that's what he's doing to himself in real life too. That's not good.
That's like that's one of the interesting things about movies is it's art, and oftentimes it can interact with real life in ways that are uncomfortable or revealing, you know? Yeah. But to bring it back to Errol and Olivia, one of the follow-up movies that is also, like, along with Gentleman Jim, one of my favorite Errol Flynn movies, called They Died With Their Boots On. It's a Western. He plays General Custer. It bears very little relationship to actual history, but that is the greatest of the on-screen romances between Errol and Olivia. And their last scene, which was also the very last scene they ever filmed together, was when General Custer is going off to war, and they both know he's not going to make it back, but neither of them acknowledges it. And like as he's leaving, he leaves her his watch, which he pretends to break so that it'll be there for her later. And he says like, going through life with you, ma'am, has been a very gracious thing. And so there's this big romantic moment, and then he walks off and she just collapses. And like, it sounds corny, but if you watch it, is one of the saddest scenes in all of film. And I almost cannot get through it without crying because it's just so powerful. But like,
well, and to know that it's their last scene,
their very last scene
adds
together.
Another layer to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it ties together everything that we're talking about, because it's using the audience's knowledge of Errol and Olivia. I don't know at the time that they knew that was going to be their last scene, but after you do a scene that powerful, it's kind of like, we can't top this. Let's leave it here.
Right. We're done.
Yeah.
Why did they stop doing movies together? Was she doing other stuff?
I think it was also
older at that point.
Well, here's another thing to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia was also not happy with getting typecast. As a matter of fact,
sure,
she is the one who sued MGM, I think, or maybe Warner Brothers. She sued Hollywood and basically claimed that their contracts were in a form of indentured servitude. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and she won.
Oh, wow.
So, that's what gave actors the freedom to kind of move between studios and select their own roles. It was all because of Olivia de Havilland. So I think she was specifically looking for other types of roles. She didn't want to just be Errol's love interest, even though everyone loved her as that. And, she did eventually find some great roles for herself, that one that even got her an Oscar.
Right. Was that Gone with the Wind? Did she win one for that? Or was it? No.
She was nominated for Gone with the Wind.
Nominated.
She won it, I think, in 1942. I can't remember the name of the film. It slips my mind. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Was it The Heiress? I think it might have been The Heiress. I can't remember.
I feel like we could do a whole episode just on Errol and Olivia, because there's so many movies, and now I feel like I need to watch them all because I haven't.
Oh, they're great. I think there's 8 movies. They're all very good. But definitely, I know, even given your reluctance with Westerns, got to try That They Died with Their Boots On. It's fabulous. I mean, it's terrible history, but it's just a great movie.
Maybe I just need to see more. Because really, I was introduced to the era with musicals. So a lot of my expertise and experience with movies are musicals. And then kind of branched out from there into some film noir. And I'm trying to get through more of the pre-code stuff. Because I've been watching a lot of Carole Lombard for research stuff. So
yeah.
It's just, there's so many movies though, and it's hard to watch all of them. I've seen a few Westerns. I think we talked about The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I liked that one.
My all-time favorite film.
There was some weird movie with John Wayne and Sophia Loren that was kind of weird, where they were in the desert.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what it's called. It was weird though.
I think that's Land of the Lost or Legends of the Lost. I can't remember the exact title. I know the one you're talking about though.
Is weird.
Yeah, it's a strange film.
But I need to see the what's the one he did with Maureen O'Hara?
The Quiet Man? No, that's not
yes.
That's not a Western. The Quiet Man is a great film, but it's not a Western.
I was thinking of The Quiet Man, because that's always referenced with St. Patrick's Day, and I haven't seen that one yet.
That's
so
a great movie.
I always think of just
too.
Darby O'Gill is my St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, there's no better movie to watch on St. Patrick's Day than The Quiet Man.
Okay. I mean, except for Darby O'Gill. There are leprechauns. I mean, I don't know. Does that one have leprechauns? Except the Banshee is terrifying.
You'll have to see The Quiet Man first. It's the most Irish thing you'll ever watch. It's beautiful.
It's on my list. Again, there are just so many things. And I watched 2 new movies for this. So, I mean, I'm working on it.
There you go.
So here's my segue into Rebecca, which I haven't seen before. Okay, we're moving on to Joan Fontaine. I did that earlier today too, probably because of your name.
Probably.
So Rebecca was one that I had heard of. Didn't they try to, or did they remake it, but it was different or something? Was that this one? I don't remember.
They did recently remake Rebecca with Lily James as the title, the unnamed title character, not title character,
she's
but
just
the
Mrs.
main character. Yeah. Mrs. De Winter. Yeah.
De Winter. Yeah. It's interesting too, because this is Hitchcock's first movie.
It's his first movie in the United States. Yeah.
In the United States. Mm-hmm. And then the only one that won an Oscar too, right? So
right.
I found that interesting for Best Picture.
And it was producer David O. Selznick's big follow-up to Gone with the Wind, which is also one of the reasons it got the Oscar push. And Hitchcock had been directing films in Britain at the time for quite a while. He had a lot of silent films that he'd done over there. He had a few hit films like The 39 Steps, The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Oh,
but he got brought to Hollywood in 1939,
Mm-hmm.
and they sort of didn't use him immediately, and until I think Selznick was kind of dragging his feet because he wanted him for Rebecca, and is this
Mm-hmm.
Daphne du Maurier novel going to be a big property, going to be a big follow up to Gone with the Wind, and so they put this together, and yeah, this wound up being his very first Hollywood film, and obviously the rest is history. He became a legend,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
fun fact too, he actually rented Carol Lombard's house. When she and Clark Gable got
wow,
married, she moved out, and then Hitchcock was essentially her tenant for a while.
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hitchcock was a strange guy. He had lots of phobias, which I mean, you can kind of imagine from watching his films, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's all about, the
Is
terror
this how
and
he
the
dealt with his
commonplace.
phobias?
I think it
He put
is.
them in movies.
They actually said at one point in the 50s, he was living in a little house or room on the studio lot
Hmm.
because he didn't like to drive. He was afraid of cars. And
Okay.
he just like lived there with his she wasn't his wife, but she was sort of his wife, and he just would go to work every day and then could walk back home and never leave the studio, and that's how he liked it.
There you go. So I haven't really seen Laurence Olivier in much of anything either, honestly. So there was something about he wanted his girlfriend to play in there instead. So he wanted Vivian Leigh instead
Right,
of Joan Fontaine. So apparently he just treated Joan like crap.
which actually like kind of works to the
Right.
benefit of a lot of the movie.
Yes, because he's like, yeah, he's real weird. You don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, so like what were your thoughts on seeing Rebecca for the first time?
uh it was weird, but I mean it's Hitchcock, it's supposed to be weird. Uh
Exactly.
I found it very interesting because you didn't know what was going on, and then everybody loved Rebecca, who you never see, but then you're like, okay, wait, how did she actually die? Because then that's the mystery, right? And then her housekeeper totally seemed like she was in love with her. They said that that's not what that was, but I mean,
It's what it was. Like, let me tell you,
it's what it was.
code or no code, Alfred Hitchcock was going to get the ideas he wanted in a film, and the audience would understand it,
Mm-hmm.
even if he's following the letter of the law with the code. But yeah, like this was a huge breakout role for Joan because Olivia obviously was like sort of the first one to get noticed, I guess, by the
Mm-hmm.
industry. She had been Melanie in Gone with the Wind, which was a big boost to her career, plus all of the films she did with Errol Flynn, which everyone loved.
Well,
Um,
apparently they Selznick wanted Olivia for this too, but she was already
yeah.
committed to something else, and Warner Brothers didn't want to let her go. And then she felt a little bit bad because Joan was up for it too, or something.
Well,
So,
she claimed later on that she recommended her sister for
oh,
Rebecca. Now, I don't know if that was her just trying to be passive aggressive and taking credit for the the successes of Joan, but that is what she said. But no, like
sure.
Joan Fontaine is like really a perfect choice for this because
Mm-hmm.
Joan's screen image, unlike the vivacious and playful Olivia, Joan is always like a little bit of a victim in the
Yeah.
movies. She's a little bit of a masochist, right?
Right.
Um,
Well, what did I say? She's like a scared little mouse this entire movie. Like she
yeah,
doesn't want to disturb anything, and but I think part of it too is just that Rebecca has this huge presence in this house and she doesn't know what to do with that.
exactly. And that's what the whole film is about. It's about living in the shadow of someone who is no longer there, which is
Mm-hmm.
a very difficult thing. And she's so good at this though, because like you really sympathize with her, and she is so mousy, and she's so
Mm-hmm.
lost, and she doesn't really know what's going on. But like
Right.
there's this vulnerability to her that really kind of comes across well in this film.
Yeah. She was really interesting to watch because I don't think I've seen a ton with her either. I had seen Suspicion before, which we're going to get to as well.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I thought she did a really good job in this. And I saw what you meant. You said something about like Olivia's eyes being like bigger and more expressive. So I was watching
Right.
for that because yeah, Joan is not as expressive in her eyes. Like, but that could have been part of this character too. But I don't
She
know.
does have kind of
She seems scared.
she does have a face that communicates. It's just not as much in the eyes like Olivia. Yeah.
Right. They also consider, let me see, Loretta Young and Anne Baxter. I think Anne Baxter, I don't know. I always think of Anne Baxter as Nefertiti. So like her playing like a mousy character feels off to me because she is such a like a powerful presence in the Ten Commandments. And I'm like, I don't know that that would work, even though that was later, but.
That would be an odd thing. I don't think either of those women would have done as good as Joan, though Loretta Young is a very good actress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to see. I guess they, instead of Laurence Olivier, they were looking at William Powell. Oh. Which might have been interesting. They wanted too much money for him, though. So, like Laurence
Olivier
100K less or something ridiculous.
He's kind of perfect for this role because, like, you know, he was this British actor with a huge reputation and very much a theatrical background. One of these guys that you almost feel like he is lowering himself to be in Hollywood movies, you know? Yeah. Because they consider the stage the big thing. But like that kind of aloofness really works so well for this character.
Yeah. Because I said you don't know what is going on with him.
Right. You can't read him. Like, does he actually love the new Mrs. De Winter? Is he in love with Rebecca? Like, you can't tell for a long time in the movie.
Right. And it was cool to see George Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
He just has that voice, you know, that Shere Khan voice, right? Is where my brain goes to. I also really like him in the picture of Dorian Gray. But he was interesting to see here. He's quite a bit younger in this.
George Sanders, also a great actor. Yeah. He had a brother, I am blanking on his name, who played the same kind of characters, who's also a very good actor.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I'll have to, I don't know who, let me look him up real quick. Because this is going to bother me if I don't remember.
One of those things where you're watching a movie and you're like, oh, I know that person. Why do I know that person? Oh, I know that name. Yeah.
Okay. His brother is an actor named Tom Conway, who also plays the exact same type of characters that George Sanders does. He's a very good actor. Yeah.
I can't place him, though.
I bet if you saw his face, you would recognize him. He's in a movie that I really love called I Walked with a Zombie from 1943.
Oh, okay. I have heard of that. Isn't that is that Bela Lugosi in that
This
too?
Is
or no.
There's it's no, this is not
something else.
This is part of the there's a series of films called the Val Lewton B. Like Cat People, I Walked with a Zombie.
There's some other zombie thing. Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking of White Zombie.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. Okay. I could do something about zombies.
Yeah, basically in early Hollywood, those are the two zombie movies. There's White Zombie, there's I Walked with a Zombie.
Right. And then they didn't really do, there must have been both pre-code too, right?
Well, I'm thinking White Zombie was pre-code. And then I Walked with a Zombie was about 6 or 7 years later.
Okay.
And then you just don't really hear about zombies until the late 60s with Night of the Living Dead.
Right. I did another thing we talked about mermaid movies, and there are two in 1948, and then nothing till like the 60s, I think. There's one of the beach movies has a mermaid in it, the Frankie Avalon, Annette Funicello, and then you have Splash. You get to the 80s.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. But there was, 1948, there was Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid and Miranda, which Miranda's a much better movie, but that's like that's a British movie, but it's Glynis Johns is the mermaid.
Okay.
And David Tomlinson is in it too. No mustache, but so you have Mr. and Mrs. Banks in an earlier movie, and then that was fun to me.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know why I'm talking about mermaids. Let's see what else. Rebecca. So apparently too, the housekeeper was supposed to be originally in the novel, she was older. So like she was like a mother figure to Rebecca instead, but they completely changed the dynamic by making her younger, and the whole thing with her room. And it's like, oh, here's this fur coat, and here is like her underwear. I'm like, what? And then like the negligee or something. She was showing how see-through it is, and I'm like,
That's all
okay.
very intentional. Like you're
Right.
definitely supposed to think she was in love with Rebecca, which also,
Right.
you know, when you find out later that Rebecca was also having an affair with the cousin,
Oh, I know.
that
Weird.
gives you the idea that she was kind of like messing around with everybody except Laurence Olivier.
Right. Well, because he says something about too, she told him everything, and we don't know what the everything is, right?
Right.
That made him like afraid of her, or I don't know, that showed him who she really was or something. So then we get like inklings of it with that stuff and with the cousin thing. Just like, what? Because then they thought she was pregnant.
Well, this is interesting. Like it's weird to build a movie that is so much around a character that you never see.
Yeah.
Otto Preminger's Laura is also like this for the first half or so.
Oh, okay.
Also a very good movie, but there are shades of Rebecca in there with where there's this missing woman, Laura, who they think is murdered, and you don't ever see her, but everybody is reacting to her, and it's the same kind of you get a sense of the person in their absence from just the way everyone else feels about them. It's an interesting dramatic idea.
It's like almost like a ghostly presence or something.
Exactly. Ghostly is the perfect way to put that.
Or your imagination is filling in stuff or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else about Rebecca? Yeah, that was odd. And then like so I'm never sure which way Hitchcock movies are going to go at the end. Because you're like, oh, is it going to end in tragedy? Or is it going to, like, here it didn't. Like, they got away and then they're together. I don't know how well that's going to work out, but.
Right.
Like, I was surprised that it, like, all worked out for them. And we'll talk about suspicion, and kind of that does too, but.
Now, I tell you something, right? Not too long after Rebecca, there's a very similar dynamic in Joan Fontaine was also in a version of Jane Eyre.
Okay.
And the guy playing Rochester, instead of being Laurence Olivier, was Orson Welles. But there's a very similar dynamic between Rochester and Jane Eyre as between Mrs. De Winter and Mr. De Winter in this film.
Yeah.
I think, it's for me, Rebecca is a movie that's almost like a tone poem, right? Mm-hmm. Like whether or not it works out after the end. As a matter of fact, the uncertainty, I think, is kind of important for the film because they did escape Rebecca.
He doesn't go to jail, so
right, exactly. It kind of works out, but it's also there are also like there are elements of tragedy in it because even if it does work out, there's already been so much disruption to this marriage and the relationship between these two characters by this force from the past that just cannot be overcome. And like also that connection to the past is a very important theme with Rebecca. I think it's a very good film. I wouldn't consider it one of my top 10 Hitchcocks, but like I love almost every Hitchcock.
There are a lot of Hitchcocks.
It's a very good intro to Hollywood for Hitchcock.
Sure. Apparently too, the book had Maxim, right? He killed her on purpose. So they changed that.
They probably had to change that to have him survive.
The Hays Code made them make it an accident instead because they didn't want it to be full out murder. So, but yeah, I did find it a very interesting film, and it's just interesting to see other films of the time. And with seeing a lot of like the later Hitchcock, it was interesting to see that one and just the difference, I guess.
It's very subdued stylistically compared to his later stuff, you know? It's still very much a Hitchcock film, you know?
Yeah.
But the suspense comes more from atmosphere than from specific beats in the plot, really.
Right. And just that uncertainty and like the suspense of it. There's a lot with just like the tone and the feel of the movie as you watch it.
Right.
Like kind of Vertigo kind of echoes that too. Suspicion kind of echoes that because you're like, I don't actually know what's happening. And you just have to wait for the mystery because it's kind of like a mystery. You're waiting for the mystery to figure itself out so you know what's happening.
Exactly.
All right,
It is,
so we can do Suspicion.
yeah, let's talk about
1941.
Suspicion.
So Joan here was the only actor to win an Oscar for a Hitchcock film. So that was this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way to go,
So I
Joni.
found that interesting. She liked the character so much she offered to play it for free. I think she got paid, but
Yeah. That's always a
She's
dangerous
trying to get
thing to
in.
do in Hollywood.
right. Somebody might take you up on it. Oh, you like this so much? Cool. Cool, it's free. Bring our budget down.
Now we expect you to do everything else from here on out for free.
Right. And we'll put it in a contract. So sorry.
And see, once again here with Hitchcock and Joan, we've got Joan as a wife who is very beset. She gets into a relationship that she doesn't fully understand at the jump.
Yeah. Like
And then
both of
she's-
these, like she doesn't know them for very long or very well.
And
They
then
just jump.
she's almost like almost tortured by what a cad Cary Grant's character is in this film.
Well, and she's tortured at the beginning because he's ghosting her and she can't get a hold of him, right? So
Right.
then she builds up this whole thing in her head, I think.
Well,
And
see,
then
that's
it's
the thing. Is
obsessing
it or
over
isn't
where
it?
He is.
Because a lot of the things she suspects about him wind up being true.
Right. Right. But at the beginning, she's just like, why isn't he calling me? Where did he go? My gosh. Well, and too, like she's like spurred on into this relationship because her parents are talking about her being a spinster or something. It's like, what?
It's like, it's okay. I'm going to marry this guy who is a
This first
totally
guy,
unstable gambler.
Right.
He's going to sell the family heirlooms to have money to, like, what was it, to put on horses or something?
Yeah, he is gambling a lot. Well,
All
it's
the
interesting
time.
too because if you look at like films like this, they don't know each other very well and get into a relationship and you know things are going to be bad. But then you have like romance where also they don't know each other very well usually and that ends up happy. So it's kind of an interesting. They start out kind of the same.
Yeah, it's I really like this film. I think of the Cary Grant, really all of the movies that Cary Grant did with Hitchcock are phenomenal, right?
Mhm.
This one, it was, I think, their first collaboration.
Yes. And then this was the one where he's like, I'm never working with Hitchcock again. And that apparently they made up. So I don't know.
Thank goodness they made up, because they made
Yeah.
like great films after this. But
Mhm.
no, Suspicion is great. And this film plays so much with the ambiguity, like you're talking about.
Mhm.
You suspect his character of doing all of these bad things. Sometimes the audience knows that he's actually doing it, but a lot of times we're just left in this kind of ambiguous space. Are
Yeah.
we seeing what Joan Fontaine's character is imagining, or are we
Mhm.
seeing what's really going on?
Right.
And I tell you, a modern movie that this film reminds me a lot of is Gone Girl. Have you seen Gone
Oh,
Girl?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's very much like two people that are in a marriage. Am I imagining this? Or is this person like really literally out to get me? Obviously, a little bit
She's
darker
out to
in
get-
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good book though, too.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. It is interesting because, yeah, you don't know, because you are kind of seeing it through Joan in a way and her suspicions and her facial expressions. So you know what she's thinking is happening. Well, and quite literally, she imagines him throwing Beaky off the cliff or whatever, pushing
Right.
him. So we get to see that. So I'm like, then in your head, maybe it's more real because they show it to you.
Right. It's a, it destroys the credibility of the camera as a narrator. So it
Right.
makes you wonder, like, okay, what's going on here? And then it leads you up to that final scene where you're almost certain he's going to push her out of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, everything's okay. That's not what he meant. Or is it?
Right. Well, and originally to the ending, he was going to poison her.
Right. Yeah.
So they had to change that too because there was some preview apparently and people didn't like that Cary Grant ended up being the murderer. So they changed it.
And
They didn't want to see him that way.
they changed it to something that like can leave you satisfied that it's a positive resolution if you don't think about it for more than 5 minutes. Because
because he was gonna off himself, right? So he still has
right.
debt. They did turn around, I guess, but what are
He
they gonna
still
do?
has debt. He says that he's gonna like live on the straight and narrow and that they're gonna make everything work out. We have seen nothing in this character's past to suggest that he is capable of that.
And he still knows what the untraceable poison is, so
exactly. So what are we to believe about it? Like, that's what Hitchcock does so brilliantly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, the code might demand that we have a happy ending, or the studio might. He's still going to let it have it, you know, his little bit of ambiguity so that you can have it either way.
That reminds me too of, there's that scene in Notorious where where Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman are kissing and they keep breaking every however many seconds just so they could have a longer scene and still meet code requirements. So they got around it there too. There are little ways to do that. That's funny.
Absolutely.
But apparently Cary Grant just had a terrible time making this movie. So, which is why then he didn't want to work with Hitchcock, and he thought that Hitchcock was paying too much attention to Joan or something and was bitter about it, I guess. And then she won the Oscar, so he wasn't happy about that either. But it was early in his career. He still had a lot to go.
You gotta let poor Joni have something, you know?
Right?
Well, Olivia de Havilland always claimed that Joan sort of projected her own weaknesses onto other people, and she would accuse them of doing things that she was actually doing. She actually called Joan Dragon Lady for most of her life. Oh, this was not a happy relationship, but no. I don't know. I don't know who to believe. It's one of those unreliable narrators, right? If both sisters are invested in this feud, who are you supposed to believe?
Probably neither one.
Probably neither one.
They probably said whatever they wanted. Yeah. Well, and then also Laurence Olivier was the first choice for Cary Grant's role.
That makes sense because they wanted to do a spin-off of Rebecca, basically.
Right. So he wasn't pleased that he wasn't first choice. I don't know. I don't think he had done a ton up to this point, though, either.
Well, Cary, here's the thing.
It was like comedies, though. This was his first, like, more dramatic sort of role.
Cary had been a player in Hollywood since the early 30s. And he spent most of the 30s getting, like, he was Mae West's generic love interest, or Marlene Dietrich's generic love interest.
I'm No Angel. I liked that one.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Mae West.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
He's so young. He's like 20 or something. I swear, he's young.
Exactly. And so then, like in the late 30s, he has a breakout with the comedies. You know, the slapstick. But like this was the first time that they kind of put him in. It's using that idea. Cary Grant's going to be a comedic character. Well, let's make him a little bit sinister. That's what Hitchcock is doing there. So, yeah, no, it was a good step into a new way of looking at Cary Grant, I guess we should say.
Right. There was something too that Hitchcock said that RKO was like, you have to cut all the scenes where he looks menacing, and then the movie was 55 minutes long because there's so much where he does something and they let him put it back. But it's like,
that is so funny.
I know, because I think I mentioned too, and I mentioned Notorious already, he kind of plays, when I saw that one the first time, after being used to charming Cary Grant, that threw me because he's real weird in that one. Like he is, you don't know what to think about him.
He's so good in that movie too. Yeah.
Like real cold, and I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah, I love Notorious. That probably
I do too. It's a great movie.
That is in my top 5 Hitchcocks, I think.
Yes. I haven't seen the other one because didn't he and Ingrid Bergman do another or some other movie they did? I don't remember what it's called.
Oh yeah, Indiscreet.
Indiscreet.
Yes. They did. Good memory. I had forgotten about that movie. Cary was just such a versatile actor. He could do almost anything, and he's one of my favorite actors. One of my 2 or 3 favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
But Notorious, he's so good. And
it's so good.
Yeah. He could do whatever you wanted him to do, basically, except maybe not play Robin Hood as well as Errol Flynn. Yeah.
Well, right. Yeah, that would have been weird. That would have worked. I just kind of like, even if you just think of that costume on Cary Grant, I don't think that works.
See, now that's something that Errol and Elvis have in common is that they could wear the most ridiculous
The
get-ups.
flashy.
But
Yeah.
if you see them, you're like, okay, I buy it. Because they wear it with such confidence, you know?
Right. That's true. Just like a peacock.
Yeah. And you think like
Like a
anybody
pretty
else
bird.
in this would look totally ridiculous.
Right. Right. To bring it back to Suspicion too. So that was also a novel. And in the end of the novel, basically the Cary Grant's character has an affair and like a love child with somebody, and then so stuff they couldn't do in the movie, really. Apparently in the book he kills her dad and he kills Beaky too.
Whoa.
And then she knows he's gonna kill her, and then she just accepts it, and the milk is actually poisoned.
Who wrote this novel?
Oh, I don't know.
You,
I don't have the.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I have a.
I did talking about the milk though, like because they put a light in that. That scene is really cool when he brings the milk and it's like glowing.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
that is
They put
that
like
is
a
a
battery
great scene.
powered light in it or something to do that effect. So you're like, oh, it's poison.
Yeah. You know, now that you say that about them cutting out the menacing parts, leaving the movie out at 55 minutes, but that is also just Hitchcock like knowing how to make a movie and knowing how to resist.
Yeah, there was something about that too, that he edits more like in camera or something, and then it makes it harder to cut it apart. Yeah.
John Ford, who did Liberty Valance, one of my favorite directors, did the same thing. He would only film exactly what was needed. He didn't do a lot of coverage. He didn't do a lot of alternate takes, so that when the studio got the footage, there was only one way they could put it together.
Yeah. That's smart.
It really is.
That reminds me too of going back to Judy Garland. So A Star is Born, when they cut a whole bunch of scenes out of it, and she was so mad because it didn't make sense anymore, and they still put it out like that. So they added them back later, but it's like movie stills and dialogue. Like they tried to put it back together.
Can you imagine this movie though? Can you imagine Suspicion if they really had tried to reduce how menacing he was? Like it wouldn't make any sense. Like he has to be menacing.
Then you'd just think the girl is crazy and wouldn't know why she's reading so much into everything. That wouldn't have worked.
Like it would have taken all of the dramatic tension out of the film.
Yeah.
Because like it all comes from us being worried about her, right? And we're seeing the world through her eyes. We're seeing her concerns about her husband. So if he just seems like a normally nice guy, that tension is going to become a limp noodle.
Right. Then it would be like, why do we think he's doing other things? Because he's not acting weird.
Doing stuff. Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh, funny. But yeah, I like that one. That was fun to rewatch. I hadn't seen that one for a while.
It's a very fun little movie.
Yeah. But yeah, the dramatic thing where she thinks he's going to push her out of the car and he's just trying to like close the door or something.
And okay, this goes back to Olivia also said, you know, Joan always imagines herself the victim in every situation. And so apparently
it's probably Olivia's fault.
Very well could be.
Yeah.
But so apparently like her screen character, who is always kind of a victim, it's rooted in something about her, you know?
Sure.
A matter of fact, I got to plug one more movie here. Joan was really also tired of being typecast, was convinced that the studios were never going to give her the kind of roles that she needed to really show what she could do as an actor.
Yeah.
So she funded a movie called Letter from an Unknown Woman. And she imported a director from Germany named Max Ophüls because she'd seen a film called Liebele that had kind of the tone that she wanted for this movie. And that movie is a masterpiece.
Oh, and interesting.
In the film, she plays this young girl who falls in love with the sound of the music that wafts across the apartment building where her family lives. And there's this guy who's like a composer. He's a musician. He plays piano, who lives in the opposite apartment. And she's just like in love with him from afar for most of the movie. And she's determined to be with him. And so there's this big tension between like, is she throwing her life away over this guy, or is she pursuing this romantic dream, right?
Hmm.
Because she only sees the world through a romantic lens. And they wind up, they have a one night stand. She has a kid by him. It's tragic, beautiful, wonderful movie. Joan, like, it's the best thing she's ever done. It is just like a gift to cinema, and it would not have existed if she hadn't taken the initiative and funded it herself. But she's also very much a victim in that film, which is what my point was.
So it still works then. So she still knew.
Still, yeah, she knew her the essential elements of her camera or character.
Just wanted something a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I'll have to see more with her because I really haven't. Apparently, everybody here except for Cary Grant. I need to see more of.
No, Joan and Olivia are both two of my favorite actresses. Like they're very different characters. Obviously, they didn't get along, but I'm always glad to see them in films. Olivia is also in the follow-up to Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
She's quite good in that too.
I haven't seen that either. I haven't seen many. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. I haven't seen a ton of Joan Crawford or Betty Davis either, honestly.
Yeah, interesting enough, like
they both
Joan
seem
Crawford,
very abrasive, but anyway.
Joan Crawford is very similar to Joan Fontaine early on. Like they're both kind of the perpetual victims, you know. Okay. I love both of them. I would say if you're going to check out some Joan Crawford, watch her early pre-code films that she did with Clark Gable.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
They're a whole lot of fun.
They did a whole bunch.
And she was like, you wouldn't know it from when she was doing her horror hag movies in the 60s, you know? But like when she was young, like Joan Crawford was a knockout. She was a beautiful woman. And then she got really in love with eyebrow pencil. So those eyebrows get very bold.
That reminds me of Lana Turner. They made her shave her eyebrows for some movie and then drew them back in, and then they never like grew back in after that. So I'm like, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I love Lana Turner too. She's fabulous.
She is fun. So I have a book about her, or inspired by her also. So I watched a bunch of her movies because originally I'd only seen The Postman Always Rings Twice was the first one.
Such a good movie.
Yes, that is another like weird film noir. But it was funny too because looking at that, and then you look at, because she was at MGM with Judy Garland too and did musicals for a bit. Got mixed up with Artie Shaw, who was just a piece of work.
Her life is absolutely insane.
Yep. I researched that a lot. The thing with her daughter, I think, is the most dramatic thing. The daughter and the gangster.
Yeah. Oh, not only that, but like one of her previous husbands had apparently been having a thing with the daughter, and she kicked him out.
Didn't he play Tarzan? Yeah.
Yes, Lex Barker, who after that went to Germany, was a great leading man. It's just he was a weirdo. He was, liked little girls, which is terrible. But like she woke him up with a gun against his head and told him,
she was gonna shoot him. Yeah. So, like, I don't blame her. I'm impressed that she didn't.
She was
because
both. Yikes. She had terrible taste in men, but could stand up for herself. It just
kept getting worse. It just got worse and worse.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And they all dated like the same people. Well, she was with Tyrone Power too, and so was Judy Garland. And
oh wow, what was the age difference between Tyrone Power and Judy Garland when they were together?
I don't remember. I don't think it was like crazy huge.
Really? I think of him as being an older actor. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. See, now I want to find out. Hang on a second.
I might be wrong about this though.
When was Tyrone Power born? I thought he was in the 20s too, but maybe not. Oh, 1914.
Well,
so eight years older than Judy Garland.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. But like he broke both of their hearts, and wasn't there something with? Was it Cesar Romero? Possibly. I'm trying to remember now. There was something.
Judy had a tough life.
Yeah, could do a whole thing about her. Actually, I did
No
a
doubt.
thing about her, but we mostly talked about movies. But yeah.
You've heard her story
Another
about meeting
addict.
John Dillinger, right?
No. What's that? I don't
So
know that one.
John Dillinger, the famous gangster, bank robber.
Mhm.
Turns out in the 1933, I think it was 33, her family was doing a show in Chicago because she was from a vaudeville family,
Yeah.
and she decided between shows to go see a movie at a little place called the Biograph Theater, and she went to go see Manhattan Melodrama, right, which is a Clark Gable movie, great movie.
Yep.
When she was coming out of the theater, she saw a guy that she thought was Douglas Fairbanks, and she asked for his autograph. He signed the autograph. It was actually John Dillinger, the gangster. Just so happens, he went to go see Manhattan Melodrama. He had been ratted out by his date, the famous woman in red. And when he would leave that screening of the movie, the FBI was waiting for him and would shoot him dead.
Oh,
Judy
geez.
Garland met him right before that.
Whoa, that's crazy. No, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I know a lot about her, but I didn't know that piece.
That's a crazy, crazy story.
It's like the most famous autograph you could get from him.
I know. I would love to
Right
know where that
before.
is.
Yikes. But yeah, we could do a whole thing about addiction. We were talking about addiction before. Poor
Definitely.
Judy. It's just crazy too, because they gave, Mickey Rooney had all the pills and other people had all the pills, and she is the one that like really fell hard. But I mean, more of them did too, but Mickey
so
Rooney
talented.
somehow kept going. But
yeah, the mixter.
Yeah, he's odd.
He's a strange guy, very strange
A little
guy.
bit. Yeah. But yes, she was crazy talented. I had an episode go up because it was her like birthday anniversary. So we talked a lot about her films and stuff too. But
Yeah, I love Meet Me in St. Louis. And obviously she married Vincent Minnelli, who was the director of that.
Yep.
They had Liza, but she's so good in musicals. Like she's a legend for a reason, kind of like Marilyn. She's a legend for a reason.
Right. Because it's the voice, but it's also the acting and just her facial expressions and everything too.
She just comes across so well on camera.
Yeah. Segues. Anything else about Suspicion or the sisters?
No, I'll just say that I love Olivia and Joan. It's tragic that they were in a lifelong feud, and apparently after a certain time didn't speak to each other. Both lived to be very old. Joan was 99 when she died, and I think Olivia was 104.
104, yep.
Which is crazy. But yeah, they're both phenomenal. I highly recommend most stuff that they're in. I'm sure they're in some bad movies, but I'm not saying everything they did was great, but they're in a lot of good movies.
Yeah. Not everything that they all did was great.
And it's such a missed opportunity that they never did a movie together. I know why.
I know.
Because
right?
they wouldn't probably, but God, it would have been crazy to get that dynamic between them on film,
They probably wouldn't have finished it. They would have been fighting too much.
It would have been like Joan and Betty and whatever happened to Baby Jane,
Maybe they should have just sucked it up and did it then.
There's a really good, there's an FX show called Feud, the first season of which is about Joan Crawford and Betty Davis's feud. There's a subplot in that series about Joan Fontaine and Olivia de Havilland and their feud as well. Yeah.
Huh. I'll have to look at that. No, I haven't heard of that.
It's interesting. A nice trashy little show.
Sometimes you just need something silly, honestly.
Exactly. Looks like live action tabloid. Let's put it that way.
Well, that sounds fun. All right. Well, and with that, I think I will wrap up. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Had fun.
Right. I'm the outlet for the classic movies that aren't Elvis.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you. And Goodbye, everybody.
See you later.